When billionaire Arthur Thorne noticed his maid's daughter hiding bruises, he uncovered a secret so dark it shattered his silence and changed all their lives forever. It started with a bruise. 11-year-old Lily Peterson, too young to understand fear, but old enough to hide it. A man who'd built empires saw it in a single glance. A mark shaped like fingers and a silence shaped by terror. Arthur Thorne had spent years hiding from the world behind wealth and walls of quiet. But that day, something broke through, the eyes of a child and the ghost of a promise his family had once made. This isn't just a story about a billionaire and a bruised child. This isn't just a story about a wounded child and a wealthy man. It's the story of how one act of courage uncovered a legacy and changed two lives forever. And before I forget, where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below. Enjoy the story. An 11-year-old girl tried to hide the pain, but her eyes told the truth. Arthur Thorne saw the lie instantly. It was a flicker of fear in the girl's blue eyes, gone as fast as it came. But a man who built a global empire did not miss such things. He missed nothing. Arthur lived in the large, quiet house on the hill. The neighbors thought he was a retired professor, perhaps a reclusive writer. He liked it that way. He wore simple sweaters and drank instant coffee. This quiet life was a shield. It hid the man who commanded boardrooms and shaped markets. It hid his billions. His maid, Sarah, was a quiet woman. She came 3 times a week. She cleaned with a desperate, nervous energy. She never spoke unless spoken to. Her daughter, Lily, often came with her after school. Lily was a small girl for 11. She had pale blonde hair and the same watchful silence as her mother. Lily would sit at the kitchen table, trying to finish her homework. But today, Sarah was behind schedule. Lily, trying to help, was dusting the low shelves in the study. Arthur sat in his worn leather chair, a book open on his lap. He wasn't really reading. He was watching the dust motes dance in the late afternoon sun. "Lily, be careful with that," Sarah said. Her voice was sharp with worry. "I am, Mom," Lily whispered. Lily reached for a small, framed photograph on the bottom shelf. As she stretched, the long sleeve of her worn sweater slipped. It pulled back just an inch, past her wrist. Arthur's eyes narrowed. A dark, ugly bruise stained the girl's thin forearm. It was a terrible, sickly purple. It was shaped almost like fingers. Lily saw him look. She flinched. It was a small, fast movement, like a startled animal. She yanked her sleeve down. Her small hand clutched the fabric tight. Arthur felt a coldness spread through his chest. It was an old, familiar anger. It was the anger he felt for bullies. He set his book down. He kept his voice very soft. "That looks painful, Lily." Lily froze. She did not turn around. "It's nothing, Mr. Thorne." "It doesn't look like nothing," Arthur said gently. Sarah spun around from the doorway, a dust rag in her hand. Her face was pale. "She's fine. She's just clumsy." "I fell," Lily said quickly, still not looking at him. The words sounded practiced. "I fell off my bike yesterday." Arthur looked from the mother to the daughter. Sarah's hands were shaking. Lily was holding her breath. "A bike fall," Arthur said, his voice quiet. "I see." Sarah rushed forward. She grabbed Lily's arm. "Not the bruised one, the other." "We're almost done, sir. I'm sorry to be in your way." "Come on, Lily." "The kitchen." "Mom, you're hurting me," Lily whispered. Sarah let go instantly, horrified. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry." She pushed her daughter gently toward the door. "Go finish your math. I'll be right there." Lily fled the room. Arthur stood up. He was not a large man, but he had a presence. He moved with a quiet authority. "Sarah," he said. She stopped, her back to him. "That was not a fall from a bike," Arthur stated. It was not a question. Sarah turned slowly. Fear made her eyes wide. "Please, Mr. Thorne. Don't. It was an accident. I promise. She's just a child. She's very clumsy." "She is terrified," Arthur said. "And so are you." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "We're fine. I have to finish my work. Please." She hurried out of the study, leaving Arthur alone. He stood in the silent room for a long time. He looked at the empty space where the girl had stood. He knew fear when he saw it. This was not the fear of a child who broke a rule. This was the fear of a mouse trapped in a corner. Someone was hurting that child, and the mother was too scared to stop it. Arthur walked to the shelf Lily had been dusting. He picked up the small, framed photo. It was an old black and white picture from a different time. 2 young men in army uniforms, smiling, their arms slung around each other's shoulders. One was his grandfather. He thought of what Lily had said last week. She had seen the photo and pointed. "My mom says my great-grandpa was a soldier, too," she had said, her voice a rare spark of childish pride. She said he was a hero. "Oh," Arthur had said, encouraging her. His name was Michael. Michael O'Brady. Mom keeps his medal in a box. The name had stuck with Arthur. His grandfather had spoken of a Mike O'Brady. A brave man. A man who ran into gunfire to pull 3 others to safety. A man who never came home. Arthur looked at the picture. His grandfather. And Mike O'Brady's great-granddaughter. A girl with bruises on her arm and terror in her eyes. The cold anger inside him hardened. It became a promise. He walked to his desk. He picked up his simple, old-fashioned cell phone. It had only one number programmed into it that was not for emergencies. He pressed the button. It rang twice. A crisp, professional voice answered. "Yes, sir." "James," Arthur said. His voice was no longer soft. It was the voice that built an empire. "I have a problem at the quiet house." "What do you need, sir?" James asked. There was no surprise in his voice. "I employ a maid. Her name is Sarah Peterson. She has an 11-year-old daughter named Lily." Arthur paused, looking out the window at the setting sun. "I need to know who is hurting them," Arthur said. "I need to know who they are afraid of. I want to know everything." "Understood, sir," James replied. "And James," Arthur added, "be discreet. They are already terrified. I do not want to make it worse." "It will be handled, Mr. Thorne. I will be in touch within 12 hours." The line clicked. Arthur put the phone down. He walked to the kitchen doorway. He could hear Sarah and Lily in the next room. They were whispering. They were washing the dishes, their movements fast, hurried. They were desperate to leave. Desperate to get somewhere they thought was safe. Arthur watched them. He felt a deep, profound ache. What he discovered had already started to break his heart. But he knew this was only the beginning. He would find the truth. And he would fix it, no matter what it took. Sarah scrubbed the last pot in Arthur's sink. Her hands moved with a frantic, jerky speed. "Lily, get your backpack. Now. We're leaving." "But I haven't finished my homework," Lily whispered. Her eyes darted to the study doorway, where Mr. Thorne had been. "You can do it at home. Get your things. Now." Sarah's voice was a harsh, strained whisper. She was dumping the dirty water, wiping the counters in a blur. She was not cleaning. She was running. Lily slid from the kitchen chair. She gathered her worn textbook and a single spiral notebook. She stuffed them into a backpack that had a broken zipper. She felt Mr. Thorne's presence like a heavy blanket in the next room. He hadn't moved. He was just watching. She was ashamed. She was terrified. Ashamed that he saw the bruise. Terrified of what he might do. Adults asking questions was always dangerous. It always made things worse later. "Mom." Lily's voice was small. "I'm coming." Sarah threw the damp rag onto the counter. She grabbed her thin coat from a hook by the back door. She didn't even look toward the study. "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," she called out, her voice too loud, too bright. "We'll see you Friday." She grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her out the back door into the fading light. Arthur heard the door click shut. He heard their footsteps, fast and uneven, hurrying down the gravel path to the street. He walked to the kitchen window and watched them go. The mother all but dragged the child. They reached the bus stop at the end of the long driveway, just as a bus hissed to a stop. They climbed on and were gone. They did not live in a good part of town. The bus ride was long. It took them from the quiet, tree-lined hills into the heart of the city, where the buildings were gray and crowded. They got off the bus and walked 3 blocks. The streetlights here were mostly broken. Shadows gathered in the doorways. Lily held her mother's hand tightly. She watched the pavement in front of her. Don't look at anyone. Don't make a sound. Be invisible. These were the rules. Their apartment was on the 3rd floor of a crumbling brick building. The hallway smelled of old cooking oil and dampness. Sarah fumbled with her keys. Her hands were still shaking. She finally got the door open. She pushed Lily inside first. "Go to your room, baby. Get changed." The apartment was small. A tiny kitchen opened into a small living room. A man sat on the sagging couch, watching a loud game show on an old television. His name was Mitch. He did not look up when they came in. "You're late," he said. Sarah froze by the door. "The bus was slow, Mitch. Traffic." "Don't lie to me, Sarah." He turned his head. He was a large man, but his face was puffy and pale. His eyes were small and mean. "The bus is always slow. You were late leaving. What were you doing?" "Nothing. I had to finish." Mr. Thorne had guests. It was a weak lie, and she knew it. Lily tried to slip past the couch, toward the tiny hallway that led to her room. Where do you think you're going? Mitch's voice snapped like a whip. Lily stopped, her shoulders hunched up to her ears. To do my homework, she whispered. Mitch looked at her. A long, cold look. What's that on your face? Lily instinctively touched her cheek. Nothing. You been crying? He sneered. No. I'm just tired. She's tired, Mitch. Let her be, Sarah said. She stepped between them, blocking his view of Lily. I'll make dinner. Mitch's eyes moved to Sarah. Where's the money? It's here. Sarah's hand went to her coat pocket. He paid me in cash. Just like you said. Give it to me. He held out his hand. Sarah carefully counted out the bills. She kept $20 back, hiding it in her palm. Here. He snatched the money and counted it. This is short. No, this is short, Sarah. He stood up. He was much taller than her. That old man is ripping you off. No. He paid what he always pays. I swear. Or maybe you're holding out on me. His eyes were hard. Are you stealing from me? After everything I do for you? No, Mitch. I would never. Sarah's voice trembled. Here. She unfolded her hand and gave him the last $20 bill. I was just going to get groceries. I'll get the groceries, he said, stuffing the money in his pocket. You think I'm stupid? He looked past her at Lily, who was pressed against the wall. He pointed a finger at her. And you keep your mouth shut at that old man's house. You understand me? You don't say nothing about what happens here. This is family business. Lily nodded, her eyes fixed on the floor. Yes, sir. Go, Sarah said, her voice desperate. Go to your room, Lily. Lily ran. She shut the door to her small room and leaned against it. The door had no lock. She could still hear them. What did you do to your arm? Mitch's voice was low and suspicious. Lily hadn't realized. He was talking to her, through the door. She opened the door a crack. What? Your arm. You were favoring it. Let me see. It's the bruise, Sarah said quickly. From yesterday. When she fell. Mitch looked at Sarah, then at Lily. A slow, unpleasant smile spread across his face. Yeah, she's clumsy. Just like her mother. He laughed. It was a short, barking sound. He grabbed his keys from the table. I'm going out. Have dinner on the table when I get back. And it better be good. The apartment door slammed shut. The building shuddered. Lily and Sarah stood in the silence. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then, Sarah sank onto the couch and put her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook with quiet, terrible sobs. Lily came out of her room. She walked over and touched her mother's arm. It's okay, Mom, she whispered. He's gone. It's not okay, baby, Sarah cried, pulling Lily into a fierce hug. It's not okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Lily just held on. She didn't cry. She had learned a long time ago that crying didn't help. It only made Mitch angrier. Back in the house on the hill, Arthur Thorne sat in the dark. He had not turned on the lights. The moon cast long, pale rectangles onto the floor of his study. He was a patient man. He had waited 7 years to take over a rival corporation. He had waited 3 decades to find the right painting to complete his hidden collection. He could wait for anything. But this was different. This was not business. This was a child. This was Mike O'Brady's family. His grandfather, General Thorne, had been a hard man. A man of iron and rules. But he had a soft spot for the men who served under him. He had spoken of Mike O'Brady with a rare, quiet respect. He had more courage than a whole platoon, Arthur. He saved my father's life. He saved my life. He died so we could come home. The Thorne family owed the O'Brady family a debt. A blood debt. And Arthur Thorne always paid his debts. The thought of that man's great-granddaughter living in fear, it made his blood cold. His phone buzzed on the desk. The screen lit up with a single, blank number. He answered. Tell me. James here, sir. The voice was clear, as if he were in the next room. The mother is Sarah Peterson, 34 years old. Widowed. Her husband, Daniel Peterson, died in a construction accident 3 years ago. And the girl, Lily Peterson, 11 years old. Good student, according to school records. Perfect attendance until this year. She has missed 12 days in the last 3 months. Who is he? Arthur asked. His name is Mitchell Haas. Mitch, 38. He moved in with them 6 months ago. He has a record, sir. Assault. Petty theft. 2 restraining orders from 2 different women. Both were lost in the system. Arthur's knuckles turned white on the arm of his chair. He is hurting them. All signs point to it, sir. Sarah Peterson has been to the emergency room twice in the last 4 months. First, a fall down the stairs. Second, food poisoning. The second visit was 2 days ago. Food poisoning? Arthur asked, his voice sharp. She was treated for a broken rib, sir. Arthur closed his eyes. The quiet, terrified woman. The clumsy child. He's controlling their money, too. James continued. Sarah used to deposit her paychecks. For the last 5 months, she has cashed every one. There are payday loan applications in her name. All recent. Mitch Haas has no official employment, but he spends money. At bars. At a local betting shop. He is bleeding them dry, Arthur said, his voice a low growl. Yes, sir. But there is something else. Something you asked about. The girl's family, Arthur said. Yes, you were correct. Lily's great-grandfather was Corporal Michael O'Brady. He was killed in action in 1944. He was in the same unit as your grandfather, General Thorne. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, posthumously. Arthur let out a long, slow breath. So it is true. It is, sir. It appears the family. Sarah sighed, never recovered. They were given the medal, but no real support. It's been a long line of bad luck and poverty ever since. Sarah is the last of them. Arthur looked at the photograph on his shelf. The two smiling young men. One had gone on to build a legacy. The other had left behind a legacy of sacrifice. And now, his last living relative was being beaten in a third-floor tenement. James, Arthur said. Sir, I am going to end this. I want you to find me a way that is legal, a way that is permanent, and a way that protects the mother and the child. Mitch Haas is a violent man, sir. He will not let go easily. I am not a violent man, James, Arthur said, standing up. He walked to the window and looked out over his quiet, peaceful neighborhood. But I am a very, very powerful one. Find me a weakness. Find me a hook. Find me something he values more than his control over them. Money, James suggested. Everyone values money, Arthur said. But men like Mitch, they value power more. Find me the source of his power, and find me a way to take it away. I will get on it immediately, sir. One more thing, James. I want eyes on that apartment. Now, tonight. I want to know if he lays a hand on either of them again. It's already done, sir. A team is in place. Good. Arthur hung up. He stood by the window for another hour. He was no longer a reclusive writer. He was Arthur Thorne, and he had a war to plan. The next 2 days were a blur of cold fear for Lily. Mitch was home. He was always home. He sat on the couch, the television blaring. He drank beer from a can, leaving the empty ones on the floor. He watched Sarah's every move. You're sweeping too loud, Sarah, he'd grumble. Can't you do anything right? Sorry, Mitch. I'll be quieter. Lily stayed in her room. She tried to read her school books. The words blurred on the page. She could hear every sound in the small apartment. The clink of a beer can opening. Mitch's heavy footsteps. Her mother's quiet, frightened apologies. She had to go to school on Wednesday. Her mother walked her to the bus stop. Sarah's eyes were puffy. She had a new, faint bruise on her cheek. She had covered it with makeup, but Lily could see the yellow-green stain beneath. Be good, baby, Sarah whispered, pulling Lily's hood up to guard against the cold wind. Don't talk to anyone. I won't, Mom. I love you. I love you too. At school, Lily felt invisible. She sat in the back of the classroom. Her teacher, Mrs. Gable, was talking about a history project. You will work in pairs, Mrs. Gable announced. You will research a famous figure from American history. The class buzzed with excitement. Children started pairing up. Lily sank lower in her chair. She had no friends. No one ever picked her. A girl with bright red pigtails, named Emily, turned around. Do you want to be my partner? Lily was so surprised, she couldn't speak. She just nodded. Great. Emily smiled. We can work at my house after school. My mom makes great cookies. Lily's stomach twisted. I can't. Emily's smile faded. Why not? I have to go right home. My mom needs me. Oh, okay. Emily looked disappointed. She turned back around and asked the boy next to her. Lily stared at her desk. She felt a sharp, stinging in her eyes. She wanted to go to Emily's house. She wanted to eat cookies and work on a project. She wanted, just for one afternoon, to be a normal kid. But she couldn't. It was not allowed. Asking Mitch would be a disaster. She spent the rest of the day silent, just as she promised her mother. When she got home, Mitch was in a worse mood. The television was off. The apartment was dangerously quiet. Where's your mom? He snapped. I don't know, Lily whispered. At the store? She's been gone an hour. An hour to get milk. He paced the small living room. She's probably calling someone. Talking about me. She wouldn't, Lily said, her heart hammering. What do you know? He sneered. He grabbed her backpack and dumped it on the floor. Her books and papers scattered. Homework. Pathetic. He picked up her history book. Famous figures. You know who was famous? My old man. He could have been a pro boxer. He taught me how to fight. Lily just stood there, shaking. Pick it up, he ordered. All of it. And you. You tell me if she calls anyone. You tell me if she says anything. You're my little spy now. Got it? Yes? She whispered, kneeling to gather her things. Or what happens to her? Happens to you, too. The door opened. Sarah rushed in, carrying a small paper bag. I'm back, Mitch. I'm sorry. The line was so long. Mitch turned to her. He smiled his slow, cold smile. We were just talking about you, weren't we, Lily? Lily scrambled to her feet and ran to her room. She hid her face in her pillow. She didn't want to hear what came next. The next day, Thursday, Arthur Thorne sat in his study. He was not reading. He was waiting. His phone rang at exactly 10 a.m. James. Sir, I have what you need. James's voice was calm, but there was an edge of satisfaction. Mitchell Haas has a significant gambling problem. I assumed as much, Arthur said. Who is he in debt to? A local bookie named Silvio Rossi. Not a major player, but a dangerous one. He runs a loan shark operation out of the back of his sports bar. Our friend Mitch owes him nearly $8,000. And he was supposed to pay it back 2 days ago. Arthur felt the first click of a lock falling into place. So Rossi is angry. Very. My team overhead a conversation. Rossi gave Mitch until this weekend. If he doesn't have the money, his men are going to collect a kneecap. Mitch is desperate. He's been trying to get more payday loans, but he's been blacklisted. This is why he's been terrorizing Sarah, Arthur said. He needs her paycheck. He needs every cent. Correct, sir. He thinks she's his only way out. Arthur drummed his fingers on his desk. He thought of the bruises, the broken rib, the terror, all for a few $1,000s to pay a cheap crook. It was pathetic. It was sickening. What else, James? This is the interesting part, sir. Silvio Rossi. He's ambitious. He wants to expand. He's been trying to get a loan to buy the building his bar is in. He wants to go legitimate. But his credit is terrible. No bank will touch him. Arthur leaned forward. A man who wants to be a legitimate businessman. Exactly. He's trapped in his small, violent world, but he wants out. A plan formed in Arthur's mind. It was complex, like his business deals, but it was also simple. It was about leverage. James, Arthur said, I have a new corporation you are going to form. A real estate holding company. I want you to buy that building. Today. There was a half-second pause on the line. By the yes, sir. I'll find the owner. You'll find the owner is in default on his own mortgage. You will buy the debt from the bank for pennies on the dollar. You will own the note by 5 o'clock today. Silvio Rossi's building will belong to us. And then, sir? Then, Arthur said, you will arrange a meeting. Not with Mitch. I don't want to talk to that animal. I want to talk to Mr. Rossi. You will tell him that his new landlord wants to discuss his lease. And his future. That will certainly get his attention, James said. That is the point, James. Men like Mitch only understand force. Men like Rossi, they understand business. We are going to make him an offer he cannot refuse. We are going to trade him a worthless tenant for a clean slate. It's clean, sir. And it's permanent. Rossi will do the dirty work. He will remove Mitch from that apartment and from their lives. And he will be happy to do it. See that it is done, Arthur said. He hung up the phone. He felt no victory. Only a cold, hard resolve. He was using a shark to get rid of a parasite. It was not clean, but it was necessary. He looked at the photo of his grandfather and Mike O'Brady. We are paying the debt, Michael, he whispered to the picture. It's long overdue. He knew Sarah and Lily were scheduled to come the next day. Friday. He would have to see them one last time, knowing what he knew. He would have to act normal. He would have to pretend to be the reclusive writer. But he knew, as he sat in the silence, that his life as a recluse was over. This child, this great-granddaughter of a hero, had reminded him of who he really was. He was a thorn, and the thorns protected their own. Friday morning. The air was cold and sharp. In a glass-walled office on the 34th floor of a downtown skyscraper, Silvio Rossi sat down. He was uncomfortable. He was a man who worked in dark bars and back alleys. This clean, silent, expensive room made him nervous. He was sweating in his cheap suit. James, Arthur's representative, sat opposite him. James looked like he was born in this room. He wore a perfectly tailored gray suit. He was calm. He held all the cards. "Mr. Rossi," James began. He slid a single folder across the polished mahogany table. "As you were informed, my employer's company acquired the outstanding debt on your building. As of 9:04 this morning, we are your landlords." Rossi's eye twitched. "So, you're here to throw me out? Raise the rent? What is this?" "This," James said, "is an opportunity." James tapped the folder. "We know you wish to purchase the building. We know the banks have refused you. My employer, he is willing to finance the purchase for you. In full." Rossi stared. "What? Just like that? Nobody is that generous." "No," James agreed. "They are not. So what's the catch? What do I have to pay?" "The price," James said, "is a small piece of trash removal. A man named Mitchell Haas." Rossi's professional scowl was replaced by genuine confusion. "Mitch? He's a bum. A degenerate gambler. He owes me $8,000, but he's not. He is a problem, and my employer wants him removed. Not from your books. From the lives of two people he is terrorizing. A woman named Sarah Peterson, and her daughter, Lily." Rossi leaned back. He understood power. He was just seeing a level of it he had never encountered. "All this, for a maid and her kid? You want me to take care of him?" Rossi asked, using the quiet, ugly phrase. "Let's be very clear," James said, his voice dropping. It was still quiet, but it was now as hard as steel. "My employer does not care about your $8,000. He does not care what you do to Mitch Haas. He does not care if you never see him again." James leaned forward. "This is what he does care about. You will remove Mr. Haas from that apartment. You will ensure he never speaks to, sees, or contacts Sarah or Lily Peterson again. He is to vanish from their lives. Permanently." "And if I do?" Rossi asked. "If you do," James said, "we will not only finance the purchase of your building, we will forget about the final $50,000 payment. Consider it a service fee for your time." Rossi's breath hitched. $50,000. Clean. And he'd get his building. "What's the catch?" Rossi asked again, still suspicious. "The catch," James said, "is this. If one hair on the head of that woman or that child is harmed, if they are frightened by you or your men, if Mitch ever bothers them again, this deal is gone. Your bar is gone. And your new career as a legitimate businessman will be over before it begins. We will crush you, Mr. Rossi. Are we clear?" Rossi, for the first time in his life, felt like a very small fish. "Crystal clear," Rossi said. He stood up. "Mitch Haas is waiting for his girlfriend to get paid today. She works for some rich guy. As soon as he has the money, I know he'll be at the apartment. We'll be waiting for him." "Good," James said. He did not stand. He just watched the man leave. The trap was set. At 3:30 that afternoon, Sarah and Lily arrived at Arthur's house. The silence in the house felt different. Heavier. Arthur sat in his study. He was trying to read, but the words meant nothing. He was listening. He heard Sarah's frantic, hurried vacuuming in the hall. He heard Lily's small footsteps in the kitchen. He knew he was sending them back. He knew Mitch was waiting. He knew, from James, that Rossi's men were also waiting. It was a terrible, dangerous calculation. He had to let them walk back into the lion's den one last time. It was the only way to ensure the lion was removed for good. He felt a profound, aching guilt. Lily appeared in the doorway of his study. She was holding a dust rag, but she wasn't cleaning. She was just standing there, looking at him. "Mr. Thorne," she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Hello, Lily." He put his book down, giving her his full attention. She stepped inside. She looked at the old photograph on his shelf, the one of his grandfather and hers. "Mom." "Mom's scared," Lily whispered. Arthur's heart constricted. "I know, child." She's scared of him. He wants her money. "I know." Lily looked down at her own shoes. "You asked about my arm. The bruise." "I remember," Arthur said gently. "I didn't fall off my bike." "I know that too." Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. She was holding them back with all her strength. "I'm scared he's going to really hurt her." "He will not," Arthur said. His voice was soft, but it was an iron promise. "I will not let that happen." "How?" she asked. It was a simple, desperate question. "He's too strong." "There are different kinds of strong, Lily." Arthur stood up. He walked over to the photograph. "Your great-grandfather. He was strong. He ran into gunfire to save people. He then looked down at Lily. But it is also strong to be quiet, to endure, to wait for the right moment. You have been very, very strong. Sarah's voice called from the hall. Lily, where are you? We have to go? Stop bothering Mr. Thorne. Sarah appeared, her face pale and damp with sweat. I'm so sorry, sir. We're done. All done. She was practically vibrating with anxiety. She needed to get the money. She needed to get home to Mitch. Of course, Sarah. Arthur walked to his desk. He took out the cash envelope. He had put extra money in it. A lot extra. He knew it wouldn't go to her. He knew it would go to Mitch, and then to Rossi. It was part of the price. Here you are, he said. Sarah snatched the envelope. She didn't even count it. She stuffed it into her coat pocket. Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Thank you. Come on, Lily. Run. Lily, Arthur said. The girl stopped and looked back at him. Arthur wanted to tell her to stay, to hide behind him, to call the police. But he knew it wouldn't work. The system had already failed her. Instead, he just looked at her. Be brave for a little while longer. Everything is going to change. Lily stared at him, her blue eyes wide. She nodded, just once. Then she ran after her mother. Arthur watched them hurry down the gravel path. He stood by the window until the bus came. He watched them climb on. He was sending a soldier's descendant back into battle. His phone buzzed. It was James. They are on the bus, sir. Mr. Rossi's team is in place. It will happen within the hour. Stay on it, James, Arthur said. I want to know the second they are safe. Understood. Arthur hung up. He looked at his quiet, empty, comfortable house. And he had never felt so cold. The bus ride was a silent agony. Sarah tapped her foot, her hand squeezing the envelope in her pocket. Lily sat beside her, rigid as a statue. When they got to their street, they could see their apartment building. It looked dark. Okay, baby, Sarah whispered. Here's what we do. We go in. I give him the money. He's going to be angry. You go right to your room. You put your pillow over your head. You don't come out. No matter what. Understand. I understand, Mom, Lily said. They climbed the stairs. The hallway was quiet. Sarah put her key in the lock. She pushed the door open. Mitch was there, standing in the middle of the living room. He was pacing like a caged animal. You're late, he yelled. The bus, Sarah stammered. It was traffic. Give me the money. He ripped the envelope from her hand. He tore it open, and the cash spilled onto the floor. He dropped to his knees, his hands shaking as he counted. This is good, he was muttering to himself. This is more. This is good. He looked up at Sarah, his eyes wild with a desperate, temporary relief. You see? The old man likes you. You should have asked him for more. Mitch, please, Sarah begged. Just, let's be quiet. Quiet. I'm free. I can pay Rossi. I just need. A loud, heavy bang on the apartment door made the whole frame shake. Mitch froze. The blood drained from his face. Mitch, a man's voice bellowed from the hall. We know you're in there. Silvio wants to see you. Open the door. Mitch looked at Sarah. His sudden confidence was gone. He was terrified. Don't say anything. Get in the kitchen. Both of you. Now. Bang. Bang. You have 5 seconds, Mitch. Mitch scrambled to open the door, trying to look casual. Hey, fellas, I was just... 2 men stood in the doorway. They were huge. They wore dark suits and did not look friendly. They filled the entire doorframe. Silvio wants his money, the first man said. He had a broken nose. I have it, Mitch said, holding up the cash. It's all here. Well, most of it. I'll have the rest next week, I swear. The first man didn't even look at the money. He looked past Mitch, into the apartment. He saw Sarah and Lily, pressed against the refrigerator. His voice softened, just a little. Ma'am, we're sorry to bother you. We're just here to collect on a bad debt. He looked back at Mitch. His voice went hard again. You're not paying. What? I just told you. You're coming with us, the second man said. He stepped in and grabbed Mitch by the arm. No. Wait. Mitch panicked. He tried to pull away. I have the money. Take the money. Silvio doesn't just want the money, Mitch, the first man said. He grabbed Mitch's other arm. He wants to discuss your future. You're a hard man to find. And you've been bothering these nice people. They started to drag him out of the apartment. Mitch dug his heels in. He was screaming now. Sarah, tell them. Tell them you'll pay the rest. Sarah, help me. Sarah just stared. She was holding Lily behind her, her hand over her daughter's eyes. She was shaking her head, tears of terror and something else. streaming down her face. "Let's go, Mitch." The men hauled him out into the hallway. The door slammed shut, hard. Lily and Sarah were left in the sudden, shocking silence. They could hear Mitch yelling as he was dragged down the stairs. The yelling got fainter. Then, nothing. The apartment was quiet. He was gone. Lily pulled away from her mother. She looked at the door. Is he coming back?" she whispered. Sarah slid down the wall until she was sitting on the dirty kitchen floor. She looked at her hands. She looked at the open door. "I don't think so, baby," she whispered, the tears finally coming. "I really don't think he's coming back." Arthur Thorne stood in his dark study. He had not moved from the window. The moon was high. His house was an island of silence in the wealthy, sleeping neighborhood. His phone vibrated. He picked it up. "Sir." James's voice was flat. Professional. "Is it done?" Arthur asked. "It is." Mr. Haas was intercepted by Mr. Rossi's associates. He was removed from the premises. He will not be returning. Arthur closed his eyes. Removed. A clean, cold word. And them? The mother and child. Our team confirmed. They are alone in the apartment. They are physically unharmed. They locked the door after Mr. Haas was taken. Arthur let out a breath he felt he had been holding for 48 hours. Safe. They were finally safe. But the cold feeling in his chest did not go away. He had solved one problem, but he had left them in another. He took the money, James. The pay envelope. "Yes, sir. We assume Mr. Rossi has it now." It was the price of the transaction. "So they are in that apartment," Arthur said, his voice a low growl of anger. "With no food, no money, and a terrified mother and child." "It was the only way to get him out, sir," James said quietly. "I know." Arthur began to pace. The protector had done his job. Now, the billionaire had to do his. "It is time for the second phase. Find them a new home." "Yes, sir. I have a list of properties. Clean, secure, good school district. I want it ready by tomorrow. I want them out of that building. I want them out of that life. It will be owned by a holding company. All expenses paid." "Understood, sir. And how will we present this to them?" This was the delicate part. Arthur stopped pacing. He looked again at the photograph of the two young soldiers. His grandfather, and Michael O'Brady. "We will tell them the truth," Arthur said. "Or, at least, a version of it. Sir, my grandfather owed that man his life. He spoke of it often. He said he tried to find the O'Brady family after the war, but they had moved. Disappeared." Arthur touched the glass of the frame. "We have found them. The Thorne family is paying a debt of honor. It is not charity, James. It is restitution." There was a moment of silence. "That is very clear, sir. It will be handled that way. A trust. The Thorne O'Brady Service Fund. Something dignified." "Exactly," Arthur said. "And James, that medal. The Medal of Honor. Sarah told Lily she keeps it in a box. I want you to find a proper case for it. And I want you to find Michael O'Brady's service records. I want Lily to know who she is. I will see to it personally, sir. I will approach them in the morning." "Thank you, James." Arthur hung up. He did not feel like a billionaire. He felt like the grandson of a soldier, finally making good on a forgotten promise. In the third-floor apartment, the silence was deafening. It was a new kind of quiet. Not the tense, waiting silence of Mitch being in the next room. This was an empty, echoing quiet. Sarah and Lily were huddled on the couch. They had not moved for an hour. "Mom," Lily finally whispered. Sarah took a ragged breath. "Yes, baby. He's really gone, isn't he?" Sarah looked at the door. It was still standing. The deadbolt was still shot. "Yes, I think he is." Lily processed this. The fear, which had been her constant companion for 6 months, slowly began to recede. It left a cold, empty space. "Mom, I'm hungry," Lily said. Sarah's heart shattered. The relief was gone, replaced by a new, more familiar panic. Poverty. She got up and went to her purse. She dumped it on the kitchen counter. A tube of chapstick. A few old receipts. 3 quarters and a dime. She opened the refrigerator. A half-empty bottle of ketchup. A single, old carrot. She had no money. Mitch had taken everything. She had no one to call. She had no one in the world. She had saved her daughter from a monster, only to realize she could not even give her dinner. "Oh, baby," Sarah whispered, and for the first time, she truly broke. She leaned against the counter and wept. Not the quiet, hidden sobs of before. These were loud, gut-wrenching sobs of despair. Lily ran to her, wrapping her thin arms around her mother's waist. "It's okay, Mom. It's okay. I'm not that hungry." "It's not okay," Sarah cried, holding her daughter. "It's not. I'm so sorry, Lily. I failed you. I failed you." "You didn't," Lily insisted, her own voice thick with tears. "You're brave, Mom. You're so brave." They held each other in the cold, dark kitchen. There was no plan. There was no food. There was just the end of the line. They eventually fell asleep on the sagging couch, huddled together under their one thin blanket. The next morning, Saturday, Sarah woke to a city noise. A truck beeping. Birds. No loud television. No angry voice. She felt a moment of pure, light-headed peace. Then, a sharp, polite knock on the apartment door. Sarah's entire body went rigid. The fear was back, instant and total. "Who is it?" she called, her voice shaking. "Mrs. Peterson?" A calm, male voice. A voice she did not know. "My name is James. I'm an associate of Mr. Arthur Thorne. May I please have a word with you?" Lily was awake, her eyes wide. "Mr. Thorne?" Sarah crept to the door. She looked through the peephole. She saw a man in a dark, expensive-looking suit. He held a briefcase. He looked kind. Not like Mitch. Not like Rossi's men. She fumbled with the chain and the deadbolt. She opened the door a few inches. "Mrs. Peterson," the man said, giving her a small, respectful smile. "I'm sorry to intrude. Mr. Thorne was worried about you. He sent me." "Worried? What?" Sarah asked. "This may seem unusual," James said, "but I am here to speak to you about your great-grandfather, Corporal Michael O'Brady." Sarah just stared at him. Of all the things she expected, this was not one of them. "My great-grandfather." "Yes. May I come in? I have some good news for you." She let him in. The apartment was a mess. The cash Mitch had dropped was still on the floor. James pretended not to notice. He set his briefcase on the small, wobbly kitchen table. "Please sit down," he said. He spoke to them for 20 minutes. He spoke of a man named General Thorne. He spoke of a battle in 1944. He spoke of a hero named Michael O'Brady who saved the general's life, and many others. "The Thorne family has been trying to locate Corporal O'Brady's descendants for decades," James explained. His voice was warm and sincere. There was a trust established for the families of the general's unit. We lost your family's line. Until last week." He looked at Lily. When Mr. Thorne heard Lily mention her great-grandfather's name, he made the connection. He was deeply, deeply moved. Sarah was speechless. She was holding Lily's hand so hard, her knuckles were white. "This is not charity, Mrs. Peterson," James said firmly. "This is a debt of honor that is long overdue." He opened his briefcase. He took out a set of keys. "Mr. Thorne has arranged for a new apartment for you. It's in a safe neighborhood. It's near one of the best schools in the city. The first year's rent is paid. After that, the trust will provide a monthly stipend to cover all your living expenses." He slid the keys across the table. Sarah looked at them. She looked at James. I can't." "You must," James said gently. "It was Michael's sacrifice that allowed the Thorne family to prosper. This is his legacy. This is your inheritance." He then took out a bank card. "This is for immediate expenses. Groceries, clothes, whatever you and Lily need. A car is waiting downstairs. When you are ready, it will take you to your new home." Lily, who had been silent this whole time, finally spoke. Mr. Thorne, he did this?" The man from the house. "Mr. Thorne is a very grateful man, Lily," James said. "He believes in honoring heroes. And he believes you deserve to be safe." Tears were streaming down Sarah's face. But this time, they were not tears of fear. They were tears of disbelief. "Go," James said, standing up. "Pack a bag. Leave the rest. The trust will furnish the new apartment. Just take what matters." He paused at the door. "Oh, and Mr. Thorne had one more request." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a beautiful, velvet-lined wooden box. Embossed on the top was the seal of the Medal of Honor. "He asked me to retrieve this," James said. He walked over to a cluttered shelf, where a small, tarnished cardboard box sat. He opened it and carefully took out the medal. It was dark with age. "He had this case made," James said. He placed the medal inside the new box, where it rested on deep blue velvet. So Lily would always know what kind of blood runs in her veins. The blood of a true American hero. He handed the box to Lily. Lily took it. It was heavy. She opened it and looked at the medal. She looked at James and then at her mother. For the first time in a year, Lily smiled. The black car was quiet. It did not smell of old food and dampness like the bus. It smelled faintly of leather. Sarah and Lily sat in the back seat. James sat in the front, next to the driver. He had not spoken since he'd helped them with their single, small suitcase. Lily held the wooden metal case in her lap. It was the only thing she carried. Sarah held a worn tote bag. It held their toothbrushes, a change of clothes, and a framed picture of a smiling, younger Sarah holding Lily as a baby. Everything else was left behind. They drove for 20 minutes. They left the gray, crumbling part of the city. The buildings became cleaner. There were trees lining the streets. They passed a park, bright green in the morning sun, with a playground. Lily watched it until it was out of sight. The car pulled up to a brown brick building. It was not a palace. It was not a mansion like Mr. Thorne's. It was just nice. It had clean windows. It had planters by the front door, filled with yellow flowers. A man in a clean blue uniform held the door open for them. "Good morning, Mrs. Peterson. We've been expecting you." Sarah's hand tightened on Lily's. She had never been expected anywhere. They rode a clean, quiet elevator to the 4th floor. James led them to a door at the end of the hall. Apartment 4B. He slid a key into the lock. "Welcome home," he said, and pushed the door open. The light hit them first. The apartment was filled with sunlight. It streamed in through a large, clean window. It was small, but it was perfect. There was a new, soft-looking couch, a clean rug, a small dining table with 2 chairs. But Sarah was walking, as if in a trance, toward the kitchen. It was tiny, but it was bright white. James opened the refrigerator. It was full of food. There was a gallon of milk, a carton of orange juice, eggs, butter, a loaf of bread and peanut butter on the counter, a bowl of red apples. Sarah put her hand over her mouth. A small, choked sound came from her throat. After months of panic, of stretching single dollars, of feeding Lily while she herself went hungry, this was the miracle. "It's all from the trust, ma'am," James said softly. Lily, meanwhile, had walked down the short hall. There were 2 doors. One was a bedroom for her mother. The other was her room. It was painted a soft, pale yellow. There was a single bed, covered in a blue blanket. There was a small, white desk, a lamp, and a bookshelf. She walked in and touched the desk. Her own desk. A place to do her homework. A place that was not a wobbly kitchen table. A place where no one would shout. She turned and ran back to her mother. Sarah was leaning against the kitchen counter, tears streaming down her face. Lily wrapped her arms around her mother's waist. "It's real, Mom," Lily whispered. "I know, baby. I know." James placed the bank card and a folder of papers on the table. "This card is for you, Sarah," he said. "For clothes, for school supplies, for whatever else you need. The trust will pay the rent and utilities. The stipend will arrive in your new bank account every Monday." He pointed out the window. "The school is 2 blocks that way. Lily is already enrolled. She starts on Monday. She is an excellent student. They are very happy to have her." Sarah finally found her voice. "Mr. James, why? Why is he doing all this?" James's professional manner softened. "Mr. Thorne is a very quiet man, Sarah. He believes in balancing the books. Your great-grandfather gave his life so Mr. Thorne's grandfather could come home. Mr. Thorne sees this as paying an old, important debt." He nodded toward Lily. "He believes a hero's family should be treated like heroes. You are safe now." That is all he wanted. James put his hat on. "I will let you get settled. My number is in the folder. If you need anything at all, you call me." He let himself out. The door clicked shut. The new, strong deadbolt turned smoothly. They were alone. In the bright, quiet, safe apartment. They spent the day exploring. They put the milk in the clean refrigerator. Lily placed the Medal of Honor, in its new, dark box, on her new bookshelf. It was the first thing she unpacked. That night, for the first time in 6 months, Sarah cooked dinner. It was just scrambled eggs and toast. But to them, it was a feast. They slept. They slept without fear. They slept without listening for angry footsteps. For the first time, the silence was not a threat. It was peace. A week passed. Lily started her new school. The children were kind. The teacher, Mrs. Gable, was the same teacher from her old school. She had been transferred here. Lily learned later that an anonymous donation had paid for a new history program and for the school's best teacher to run it. Lily made a friend. The girl with the red pigtails, Emily. She lived in the same building. Sarah rested. The dark circles under her eyes began to fade. The hunted look left her face. She was starting to look like the smiling woman in the photograph again. On a Saturday afternoon, the buzzer rang. Sarah answered. "Hello. It's Arthur Thorne. I was in the neighborhood. I'd like to come up." Sarah's heart jumped. "Of course. Yes. Come up." She looked around the clean apartment, flustered. Lily came out of her room, her eyes wide. "Mr. Thorne?" The knock came. Sarah opened the door. There he was. He was not wearing his old sweater. He wore a dark blue suit. He looked powerful. He looked like the men in the tall glass buildings downtown. James stood behind him, smiling faintly. "Mr. Thorne," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Please, come in." Arthur stepped inside. He looked around the small, sunny apartment. He nodded, as if pleased with the project. "It suits you," he said. His voice was the same gentle tone she remembered. I don't know how to thank you," Sarah stammered. "What you've done, it is what my grandfather would have demanded," Arthur said simply. He looked at Lily. "How is the new school?" "It's good," Lily said. She was not as shy as before. "I have a friend, and I have my own desk. I am glad to hear it." Lily walked to her bookshelf. She picked up the wooden case and brought it to him. "Mr. James told us about my great-grandfather. And your grandfather." Arthur looked at the case. He was a very brave man. Lily looked up at him. She was only 11, but her eyes were old. She had seen things she should not have. And she, like Arthur, missed nothing. She saw the kind man who listened to her homework. She saw the powerful man in the suit. And she saw the cold anger that had been in his eyes when he first saw her bruise. "You're the one, aren't you?" Lily whispered. Sarah looked confused. "Lily, what?" "You're the trust," Lily said, staring at Arthur. "You're the Thorne O'Brady Fund. It's you. All of it." Arthur Thorne held her gaze. He did not lie to her. He did not treat her like a child. "Yes," he said. "And Mitch," Lily said, her voice dropping. "He's gone. For good." "You did that, too." Sarah's breath caught. She looked at Arthur, a new, dawning comprehension on her face. The men who took Mitch, the timing. Arthur crouched down, so he was eye level with the 11-year-old girl. "Your mother told me you fell off your bike, Lily. I knew it was a lie. You told me you were clumsy. I knew that was a lie, too." He was quiet for a moment. His voice was heavy. "What I saw, what I discovered, it broke my heart. I could not let it continue." He gestured to the medal. "That medal means that your family's blood is the blood of a hero. It is the blood of a man who protected others. I could not stand by while his family was being hurt." He stood up and looked at Sarah. "Mitch Haas was a bad man. He is gone. He will never, ever hurt you again. That is my promise to you both. You are free." Sarah finally understood. This quiet, reclusive man. He had waged a war for them. A silent, secret war. He had used his power, his billions, not for himself, but for them. "You saved us," Sarah whispered, tears filling her eyes. "You saved our lives." "Your great-grandfather saved my family first," Arthur replied. "I am just paying the bill." He turned to go. "James will always be your contact. You have everything you need. Your job, Sarah, is to heal. And your job, Lily." He smiled at her. "Your job is to be 11. That's all. Just be a child. The world is safe for you now." He and James left. Sarah closed the door. She leaned against it. The relief so total, her knees felt weak. Lily walked to the window. She looked down at the park she had seen from the car. The sun was shining. Emily, her new friend, was down there, waving up at her. Lily waved back. She looked at the Medal of Honor on her shelf. Then she looked at her mother, who was, for the first time in years, truly smiling. The bruises were gone. The fear was gone. The heart of the little girl and the heart of the undercover billionaire were no longer broken. They were healing. Together. And that's where we'll wrap up the story for now. Whenever I share one of these, my hope is that it gives you a moment to step away from the everyday and just drift for a while. I'd love to hear what you were up to while listening. Maybe unwinding after work, taking a late-night drive, or simply relaxing. Leave a comment and let me know. I read every single one. And if you'd like to make sure we meet again, hitting like and subscribing really helps. We're always looking to make our stories better, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts or feedback below. Thanks for spending this time with me.